Hello y'all, welcome to the stretching video. We're gonna go ahead and begin the stretches with a straddle stretch. We're gonna start right here and stay in this position for 1 full minute. While you're here in this position, guys, just go ahead and take a moment to just hone in your mind. Slow down your breath and really set the intention for these stretches to simply focus on loosening up your body and easing into each position, not forcing any position. You're already over halfway done now with this first stretch as well, just while you're simply setting that intention. Take the time here to just let your body sink deeper into this stretch with each exhale, letting your upper body slowly fall into this stretch. Your head can lie wherever your head lies. As you go through this, even taking the time to intentionally pray would be a very valuable thing here, just to ground yourself. Now, we're going to go ahead and move on into the second stretch. So as you guys are doing this, very, very important to just minimize all distractions here. Turn off the notifications from your phone. We're going to go ahead and go into neck circles for a minute on each side. So what I like to do here is just open up with some very general circles, and then I'm going to go ahead and for the next 45 seconds or so, put my left hand behind my back and manipulate my neck with my opposite hand if needed. Sometimes I don't even need my other hand to be able to put my neck in a position where I'm getting stretched. What putting your hand behind your back does is put your trap in a position where it is getting a very, very deep stretch, as well as it typically forces you to keep your shoulder low here rather than bring your shoulders up to your ears. So just bring your head down and back and rotate it to the side, and then pull it down while you rotate it to the side. We're almost at the full minute. And now we've hit that minute, we're gonna go ahead and switch sides. So put your other arm behind your back and work that same magic for a full minute on the opposite side here. You'll typically find one side is a little tighter than the other. That is perfectly okay. Pay attention to that side as well as the side that is not as tight, and just change up the intensity on each one. You'll see here on this side, I don't use my hand to really manipulate my head as much because it's much, much tighter. Whereas on the other side, I can definitely go ahead and apply a little extra pressure on my head to open it up there. So it's a little different each side. I like to also put my head back and open my jaw very wide there. It feels like a very good stretch on the front of my neck. Go ahead and try it out as you do this. We have finished up the second minute, so now we will go ahead and move on into the next stretch here. Okay, so this one is going to be a dead hang from a pull-up bar. And for this stretch, I'm gonna have you work up to a full 60 seconds. So to begin with, if you drop down before 60 seconds, hey, that's a-okay. Take a second and recover and try to get right on back up there. We don't want to force you to struggle there on this stretch. We really just want to focus on letting your hips relax. As you see, I'm rotating around. I'll maybe do a leg raise or two just to kind of get my hips moving. But really just relaxing the hips, letting them sink away from my spine, and then letting my spine and my shoulders relax here and pull down and away from the bar to just decompress my full spine. If you'd like, while you do this, to make time pass a little faster for the full 60 seconds that we're holding here, you can go ahead and do a few shoulder retractions as you pull your shoulders down and away from your ears. Really here, just hang around. Just catch back up with your childhood fun nature and enjoy the process. After 60 seconds passes, we're going to have you go ahead and move on into the very next stretch. This next stretch is going to be the most intense one for most individuals watching this. And this is going to be the couch stretch. So you can actually use this with any raised surface that's about the height of your knee. So typically 12 to 18 inches up is gonna be very good. I like about an 18-inch height. And what you're gonna do is put your left foot back on that surface and then bring your right foot forward. So it's just gonna simply look like a lunge position here. It's really, really important as you hold this position to try to keep your shoulders, hips, and knee all in a straight line. All right, a lot of you guys are gonna be leaning forward as you go ahead and try this stretch. And I want you to try to imagine that you're trying to become as straight as a board here. I don't want you crooked and leaning forward. If you have very tight hip flexors, that's how it's gonna go ahead and look to begin, and that's a-okay. But if you have the mobility, try to align yourself perfectly straight here like I am explaining. So what I like to think here is just to squeeze the butt cheek of that back leg forward the entire time to make sure that my hips do not fall back towards my foot here. As a lot of people might believe that the focus of this is actually bring your butt to your heel to be able to stretch out your quad. It's not. This is primarily a big hip flexor stretch, and quads are definitely getting stretched here as well too. But we really want to focus on those hips. So squeeze the butt forward as you see me doing there. You can also go ahead and bring the arm of the same side of the back leg up to the air and then reaching across the body with it just to get a deeper stretch throughout the full body here. Again, a full 60 seconds is what we're looking for on each side. Try to maintain that position the entire time. If you need to take a second or two in between stretches, go ahead and relax and just pause the video. That's perfectly okay. Now we're going to go ahead and move on into the next stretch, which is going to be the twisted cross. This is one I picked up from Nsima and Yang from the Smooth Panther series, which this is very similar to. And it's a phenomenal stretch for your shoulder, chest, and your hips and your QL as well too. So what you're gonna be doing here is twisting and opening up the right side of your body as you apply pressure on that left side of your chest and shoulders and even your arm there to get a big opening stretch there as you point your hips up. And while you're rotating to that opposite side, you will also take your right leg over to the left side here to get that twist in your torso here. As you do this, one thing you can focus on to really focus on the twisting aspect of this stretch is actually to keep that top shoulder, so my right shoulder, as you see here in the video, a little closer to the ground, so less rotating up or rotating away of the upper body, and more so keeping that upper body just a little lower to the ground. I'm really keeping mine rotated back in these because my chest is pretty sore and it's actually amplifying the pec stretch there. So you can take it however you need. I'm just showing you where the back foot is there as I raise my leg. Again, we're taking 60 seconds here. 60 seconds for each and every single movement. Make sure you're breathing throughout each and every single set here, each and every single movement. As you're going through this, man, I just want to congratulate you for taking the time to actually warm up your body properly. Most men and even ladies in the gym won't take the time to warm up their body as needed. And that's where a lot of injuries happen. So you doing this is a great step for your health, your longevity, and just simply staying on this path that God's called you on for your health. So go ahead and give yourself a big pat on the back as we move on into Cobra. This stretch can be very intense for most people, especially for the full 60 seconds like we're doing. So if you're like me and you have a very tight lower back, one thing that you can go ahead and do is lower down into Sphinx pose, where you're on your forearms instead of your hands, and still focus on rising your chest and getting full curvature and stretch in your spine here while pushing your hips down to the floor. You'll still get a great stretch there regardless. You don't want to force any of these positions. If you're going to be staying in that position for 60 seconds, you do not want to make it a forced 60 seconds. And now we will move into the final stretch of the evening, which is going to be a deep squat. So I like to place my heels, as you'll see, about right underneath my shoulders. And then I personally point my toes out at about a 15-20 degree angle and just sit in this position. And I will also prop my elbows into my knees to be able to get a good stretch on the inside of my thighs. You'll see now I'm also placing the palms of my hands, as I'll point the camera towards a little bit better here. I'm placing the palms of my hands down on the ground to even get a good wrist stretch here. My wrists are chronically tight as of late with all the grip and forearm work I'm doing. So, especially if you're, a combat athlete, your forearms are going to get extremely tight. So this is a great way to go ahead and warm those up as you get into the stretch as well too. And it just distracts you as you wait for the full 60 seconds to pass you by here. That is it for the stretching routine for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.